Booba and the Wonder Machine. Booba, Lula, Spike and Mr. Beak decide to have a party in the apple orchard near the house. Booba and Lula begin preparations by clearing away the fallen leaves, while Spike picks ripe apples and Mr. Beak hangs a colourful garland. The friends are grumpy from all their hard work, so Booba decides to try and cheer them up. When he and Lula have collected a bucket full of leaves, he takes it and carries it to the trash can. On the way, Booba accidentally steps on an apple, stumbles and dives headfirst into the bucket he is carrying. Startled, Booba leaps up and rushes off, unable to see what is in front of him. He runs straight to the barn with its open door. It's only when he's inside and has nowhere else to run that he comes to a stop. Booba takes the bucket off his head and looks around. Behind him, he sees a huge pile of toys swinging from side to side after the collision with Booba. Uh-oh, Booba thinks, as the pile of toys collapse onto him. Emerging from the avalanche of toys, Booba looks around curiously. There are so many things just lying around. Cars, frisbees, an inflatable duck for swimming, a bicycle, parts of a construction kit, wicker baskets, and even a floor lamp. Thinks Booba. He finds a stick and triumphantly raises it into the air. Booba thought this was lost, so now is very happy to find it. Suddenly, through the open doors of the barn, Booba spies Lula. She is still collecting leaves, despite still being very tired. Booba feels sorry for his friend. Suddenly, he comes up with an idea. He looks at the toys scattered on the floor. Why not make a leaf-collecting machine from them? Booba draws out his idea and begins to make the contraption. Finally, the machine is ready. It's made up of a bicycle and a cart attached to it, with a tank for the leaves. The machine also has an automatic grabber claw and a claw with a shovel on the end of it. Booba jumps onto the bike and heads out the door, towards Lula. Lula looks up, surprised to see Booba. Booba's machine picks up all the leaves around her in no time. Lula watches Booba with excitement and claps her hands. Booba smiles back happily. When suddenly, something unexpected happens. Booba rides over a rock, and the screw holding the cart and the bicycle together falls out. They go off in different directions. Booba's machine is out of control. It rides chaotically across the lawn and then towards Booba and Lula. They both run from the runaway cart as it menacingly heads towards them. It eventually catches Booba and throws him into the tank filled with leaves. But Booba is too heavy for it. The machine cannot stand it and collapses, shedding its parts, including a bucket which lands on the top of Booba's head. Uh-oh! When Booba removes the bucket, he finds Lula looking at him, unhappy. Not only did Booba not help her with the leaves, he released all the leaves collected around the orchard. Booba isn't a very good helper. Booba sighs and heads towards Spike. Spike has already picked all the apples up from under the trees and now is knocking them off the branches with a long stick. Work progresses slowly. Booba wants to help him too. He doesn't want his friend to do this alone without any help. Booba decides to make a useful machine for him too. This time, he spends much more time on the design. Booba thinks very carefully. He remembers running over a rock, so decides he shouldn't drive this new machine. It will be controlled remotely. Booba compliments himself on his great idea and sets to work. Soon his masterpiece is ready. It looks bright and colourful. The machine is a cart on which Booba has installed a conveyor belt and 2 claws with suction cups. Spike is very surprised when this marvel of engineering drives up to him. It's not every day you get to see something like this. Booba clicks the lever on the remote control. The conveyor belt begins to move. Now, it goes directly into the crown of the apple tree. Booba uses the claw to put Spike on the conveyor belt. When Spike comfortably climbs to the top, the second claw gives him a basket in his paws. And then both claws begin to fill it with apples. Soon, there is no more space left in the basket, so Booba sticks them onto Spike. But soon, there's no more room on Spike for the apples. Spike realises that the claws on the machine are trying to feed him the apples. Booba panics. His friend has to be rescued immediately. However, the remote control in Booba's hand suddenly breaks. It isn't built for so many apples. The machine is out of control, the conveyor belt is getting faster, and the apples are flying off in all directions. It is dangerous. Finally, Spike thinks and acts quickly. He curls up and rolls safely down the machine right into Booba's arms. Moments later, Booba's invention explodes. Its parts scattered across the lawn under the apple trees, and a bucket landing on Booba's head again. Uh-oh! Booba pulls the bucket off his head. Spike stares at him. He doesn't look happy. Booba sighs. Maybe he's just not cut out to be an inventor after all. But Booba is not upset for long. Soon, his attention is drawn to Mr. Beak, focused on hanging a garland between tall posts. Booba can see that Mr. Beak is tired. And there is still a lot of garlands to hang. Restless Booba decides to help him. He sketches out a drawing and begins to build a new machine. A stroller with a large propeller like a helicopter. 2 claws are attached to it. Booba decides not to use a remote control. He really wants to fly it himself. Woohoo! Booba is excited to fly. He jumps into the stroller and takes off. Mr. Beak is very happy with the unexpected help. He jumps into the stroller with Booba and they begin to hang the garlands together. The claws cope with this perfectly. Booba doesn't stop there. He wants to impress Mr. Beak even more. Booba pulls the lever and suddenly the claws hand Mr. Beak a glass of soda and a bucket of popcorn. Mr. Beak is impressed. Booba continues to show off his machine to his friend. He twists the lever for the claw and it suddenly breaks off in Booba's hand. Another of Booba's creations is out of control. The machine begins to fly over the orchard and the house in all directions until it crashes into the crown of the apple tree. Mr. Beak manages to escape the stroller just in time, but Booba doesn't. And oops! The bucket lands on his head again. Mr. Beak, Spike and Lula surround Booba. The friends want to make sure that he is okay. Booba is fine, which cannot be said about the lawn and the orchard near the house. The parts of the broken inventions, apples and fallen leaves are scattered everywhere. What a mess. Clever Lula is first to know what to do. She offers to invent a new machine together. Teamwork makes the dream work. Booba really likes her idea. Why didn't he think of that first? Together, they make an amazing machine that picks up the leaves and puts them in buckets, collects apples, and even hangs the garlands. Booba watches it with delight, slightly worried that it might break again. But it doesn't. The machine works like a dream. After finishing the cleaning, it makes delicious cocktails with fruit and vegetables for everyone. It's so delicious, the friends shout together. They're all delighted with their new invention. The machine arranges tables under the garlands, cooks food, and prepares delicious drinks, and then turns on the music, ready to party. Party! The friends shout and start jumping. friendship is the best invention ever.